Hello, how is everybody doing? It is week 2, so this means the second edition of Compas on the Beat, Reactions with the Compas, Overreaction Lunes, as we call it. I'm Fernando Ramirez. I cover the Chargers for the Sporting Tribune. With me, as always, my co-host, my tag team partner, Gilberto Manzano. He covers the NFL for Sports Illustrated. What's up, bro?
What's up, Fernando? I feel like a whole lot went down in week 2 of the NFL season. We'll get into it with our 4 downs with the compas. But yeah, I think a lot of people are either overreacting, upset, maybe happy. I don't know, but we'll get into it.
Gilbert, we already have comments. I mean, that's how you can tell. That's how this is going, really, because some people might not be very excited. Some people may be angry, but that is why we are here. That's why we do this on a Monday, because we know people want to react to everything going on over the weekend. You ready to get started?
Yeah, why not? What's up, bro? I'm too late here, but people
You're
want to get
good.
into it, so let's get into it.
All right. So obviously the Chargers headed to Tennessee, to Music City, and just there was some good. There was some good. They moved the ball. There were Trey Pipkins caught a 2-point
Yeah.
conversion. You know what's funny? I'd been telling you about that play. I'm like, I want to see for once a lineman go up and make a grab. 5 sacks, Gilbert, after not sacking Tua Tagovailoa last week. The Chargers end up sacking the quarterback, Ryan Tannehill 5 times. Joey Bosa in a limited role. He only played, I think, like 15 to 20 snaps, and he had 2 sacks. But then obviously, what's been going on, what happened against Miami happened on Sunday. The Chargers had several opportunities to score at the end of the game to put the game away. They couldn't do it. They go into overtime, and the defense just couldn't keep the Titans at bay. They kick Nick Folk kicks a field goal, and the Chargers fall to 0-2. Your reaction?
Yeah, well, the first thing is let's get into it. Brandon Staley's defense still can't figure it out down the field. I guess it's one thing, and I said it last week, Fernando. Like, I feel like Staley and the defense are running out of excuses. Like, first year, it's complex, we'll figure it out. Second year, a bunch of injuries. Year 3, you're healthy. And then maybe the excuse last week, Fernando, was like, oh, it's Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They do this to everybody. What about week 2? Ryan Tannehill, who's coming off a terrible performance against the Saints, balled out and was 4
Incompletions only.
Oh, 4. Oh my.
Look at your face.
I didn't even know about that. That's
yeah. 4
Ryan
incompletions.
Tannehill going off from his really, really bad start to looking really, really nice against the Chargers. And that just tells you everything right there. Treylon Burks getting a big touchdown. D-Hop doing, throwing the clock back against the secondary here. So the way I just keep looking at Fernando, and I'll just keep it simple. People are mad, they're upset, and they're frustrated. I get it. You want to see more from your expensive pass rushers, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, your expensive safety, Derwin James, and your very expensive J.C. Jackson. And I saw Vato Michael Davis was a little upset about the back and forth between him and J.C. Jackson. Can't get a rhythm.
It was everybody. They were rotating the whole secondary.
Point, like, you got to try something new, and even that's not working for Brandon Staley. So I know people are frustrated. I get it. And then I'm gonna even point the blame at the offense. Like, at some point when you're Justin Herbert and you're getting paid $15 million per year, and the game's on the line, and you could blame the defense. It got close. It shouldn't get to. It was overtime, right? And it was like raining. It was a chaotic scene.
Well, no, it didn't start raining. I think it didn't start raining until the Titans got the ball.
So it was a little chaotic, but at that point, when you're in a close game and you're getting paid all this money, you can't miss throws, and that occurred. But it's not Herbert's fault. I just want to see a little more in crunch situations. But yes, the fault is the Brandon Staley defense, and after a while, enough is enough, right?
I mean, in a sense, we have seen it from Herbert before, though, the last 2 years where he's bailed this team out. It's just for some reason, I don't know what's going on this year. The play calling at the end, I thought, was kind of was a little bit weird as well towards the end of the game. And it's funny. I was listening to Dan Patrick, and Dan Patrick has this guy named Shane Irving on. He calls in. He's a pissed off Cowboys fan, and he's always crapping on the Cowboys. And I saw an old clip, and he's crapping on Kellen Moore. He's like, anytime we get to the end of the game, Kellen Moore just doesn't know. He confuses. He doesn't know what's going on. He calls weird stuff, and I'm like, oh wow. I'm like, okay, maybe. And then I saw that, and I was kind of like, oh wow. Like 2 weeks in a row, Gilbert, last week, You were there. They decided to go for a field goal instead of like, I mean, and I'm not trying to say that they just stalled and got the field goal and thought that that was going to be it. No, their offensive play calling once they got in the red zone was bad, and then they decided to go for the field goal. Then the Miami Dolphins turn around. They go down the field. Tua scores. Chargers get an opportunity. Vic Fangio dials up a lot of blitzes. They get to Herbert, and that's how you end the game. This week, same thing. You get into the red zone at the end of the game. Terrible play calling. They weren't able to get into the end zone. Like, they had some creative plays. There was a play where Keenan Allen scored his, I think it was, can't remember if it was a second touchdown. They acted like Mike was going to come up and take a screen, and Keenan was in both the safety and the corner, or the slot corner and the corner covering Mike. They both bit, and Keenan walked up and he caught an easy touchdown pass. And like, where was that creativity at the end of the game when you most needed it? So that was kind of also, and then in overtime, there was a play on third down where Mike was everybody. It looked like everybody was confused. They didn't know what the play was. Mike went into motion. He didn't know what was going on. Instead of calling a timeout, they hiked it, and then Justin Herbert had to throw the ball away, and then they punted it back to the Titans, and they never got the ball back. So I mean, obviously, it's not what you want to see, obviously, from a high-powered team, because the Chargers are talented. Like, they have a talented team. They have playmakers everywhere. It's just for some reason it's not clicking. But let me get real quick to some of these, because I'm already getting yelled at. So obviously right here, the season is not over, but I will say this, Fernando, my man, if things go bad, it's time to clean house, start from the top. No Tommy T, no Staley, no more. None of this crap. Start fresh. I mean, yeah, I guess there's it seems like all the way from the top that people want it.
Well, let's get into it. And yeah, Staley looking old by the minute. And I get it. You know, I was covering the team when the fan base got sour on Anthony Lynn, and it's happening out to Brandon Staley. And I really, again, I get the frustration with the defense. And, you know, Anthony Lynn's yeah.
West bringing in the power of positivity. We caught up and only have one game. We're only one game behind first place in the division.
I could go off of that. Yeah, like the defense is really bad, and you know, Anthony Lynn's defense under Gus Bradley was much better. I'm gonna keep it real, and is that
they were top 15, top 10.
They were modest, average, but they at least stopped the run, and maybe the secondary was a little mixed, but not this bad with this.
And defense. They would hold down the explosive plays. They wouldn't allow that to happen.
So it's gone backwards, and when you're a background as defense, I get it with the frustration. But let me tell you why it's too soon to call for Staley's job, and it's just overall like it's just too premature. It's 0-2. I get it. The numbers when you look at teams who start 0-2 to make the playoffs are really slim. It's hard to do. The Bengals did it a year ago, but not every team could do it. And the Bengals are also 0-2, by the way, this year too. The two biggest disappointing teams in the NFL, Fernando, the Chargers and the Bengals. We'll get to the Bengals on the second down, but it's too soon because it's 0-2. You have, like you mentioned, Fernando, that's why you're the go-to expert for the Chargers. You broke it down 5 minutes ago how this is a team effort, a lot of talented players. You can still right the ship and work it out. Like, even if the defense is bad, you look at the Dolphins. The defense hasn't been that great through 2 games, but the offense gets it done. I want to see more from Kellen Moore. And put it this way, Fernando, if they let go of Brandon Staley, you essentially say the season's over after 2 games. You can't throw the towel after 2 games. And then who do you give it to? The head coaching job, Kellen Moore, who's trying to figure out the offense through 2 games with a new team and new players, new quarterbacks. You can't ask him to take on 3 phases of football when you're trying to teach the offense. So again,
and Derek Ansley's only been in the NFL for 2 or 3 years.
He was coaching in college not too long ago. So I took my breath. You do it too as well, a Chargers fan base. I know it's bad. Be frustrated, but to call for a firing this soon, you essentially throw away the season with so many games to go. And yes, playing the Vikings in week 3, you go 0-3, you might not be making the playoffs. I get that, but we're not there yet. If they win that game 1-2, like that comment said, you're not that far behind. So you look at the playoff landscape. There's like 4 or 5 good teams in the AFC. There's 2 spots available. You get in the wild card, you still have a chance. So why throw in the towel right now?
The Chiefs are 1-1. The Chiefs and the Raiders are 1-1. You play the Raiders in 2 weeks. You play the Chiefs in about 4 or 5. The Broncos are 0-2. They possibly could fall to 0-3 this weekend with Oh, they play somebody. I just can't remember who it is. I can't
The
remember.
last weekend or
But
the weekend ahead? The
no,
weekend
this
ahead.
this weekend coming
I
up,
forgot.
this next weekend they have a tough game. But
Yeah.
yeah, last weekend Eric Bieniemy did a number on that Broncos
Yeah.
defense. Um,
But that's a good point. Like the Raiders and Broncos are not gonna really hang around. I'm sure of that. And the Chiefs are 1-1, so it's not the end of the world here.
but I'll tell you why I think how this could change on the offensive side. On the defensive, vaya con Dios. Hey guys, who do you think? Oh, would you think Staley should have called a timeout, seeing the confusion on the last down? I actually do. I thought Staley should have called a timeout, kind of relaxed everybody, and then kind of maybe let everybody come out. But it was such a bang play. Like, I mean, you know how that stuff goes. It's tough. But yeah, somebody should have called a timeout, because that was not a good sequence. But I think on the when we're talking about the offensive side of the football, I'm not going to make the excuse of missing Austin Eckler, because
Yeah.
obviously, I mean, you should be able to win regardless. My point is, why are you not using Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston? Last year, Herbert spoke about it that he missed Jalen Guyton. Why? Because Jalen Guyton has speed. He can take the top off the defense. Yesterday, Darius Davis took more snaps than
Wow.
Quentin Johnston. Why? What?
Then
What? What?
why use a first round pick then if you're so worried about the speed? Like I don't get it.
Like Quentin Johnston, I don't know what it is, but like Dan yesterday was like, "Oh, there we go, curl route. Oh, there we go, curl route." He's like, "That's all they're bringing him in for." And it's like, like if he can take the top off the defense, why aren't you bringing him in to try and help with that? And it just baffles me at times that they're not using neither one of these guys has established themselves in the first two games. Gerald Everett, I thought, had a really good game against the Jags. He had over 100 yards. They haven't really used him all that much. He had that one good play, that good catch right before halftime where he just bullied 4 or 5 different Titans. But it just kind of feels like they're going Keenan, Mike, and whoever the running back is, and it's kind of like, why don't you start integrating more weapons? Why don't you start using? I'm not saying don't use Keenan and Mike. The dude's almost had 200 yards combined and 2 touchdowns. So I'm not saying that, but I'm saying integrate more guys. The offensive line has been up and down. I thought they've been better, obviously, but at key situations, they allow sacks. Yesterday at the end of that game, they allowed a Harold Landry got to Herbert, and it's like, on the defensive side of the football, I just don't know what you like. I don't know what has to change in that. And that, I guess that's why everybody's so confused about it too, because they're like, well, what can change? Like, what can you do? And they say practice. It's going to be by practice. Practice, like, I just don't know if you can fix everything this quickly. And I mean, you've seen the moments you've seen the moments from Staley. I mean, last year against the Dolphins, they were able to do some good things against
That
them.
was one good month of defensive football. What happened?
Exactly. So that's what I don't get. Like, I don't get if is JC Jackson the reason why your defense can't play well? Like, then why did you bring him in? Like, I just don't understand. And then obviously, I never trust Bill Belichick free agents just because I've always seen that wherever they go, they're not the same kind of player. But, and I'm not saying that JC can't be that kind of guy, but I just don't understand how you're going to be able to fix the defense. The only consistent part is the special teams. They're one of the best in the NFL. I saw some people yesterday in my comments going, "Oh, Ryan Fiken should take over as the head coach."
Oh,
I'm like,
really?
you guys want to elevate him to head coach? I'm like,
man.
damn.
I thought
But
Kellen Moore would be the option, but okay.
I know, and I've already seen names being floated around, but I'm like, I'm with you though. Why? Like, you're not gonna. The Spanos family is not gonna fire them. I've been around this team for a long time. They're not gonna fire these guys. They're not gonna fire Staley. They'll maybe do it after the season, depending on how this ends. But they won't do it. I'd be very
surprised. That's not even a given because, as you know, well, that most of any other person, they usually go 4 years for the coaching tenures, right?
Yeah. No, but we'll get into that down the line. But I'm just really perplexed by everything because, like I told you, 4 incompletions from Ryan Tannehill, and like DeAndre Hopkins, Gilbert only had 4 of those catches. So he really spread the ball around. They did a lot of different things. Traylon Burks had a 70-yard catch and run on
like a big Derrick Henry day either.
No, Derrick Henry didn't even. I mean, he had an okay day, but it was mainly it was just the Titans picked and chose their spots and that's how they were able to execute because they had a lot of 3-and-outs. They had there was I think 3 series in a row where you got Kenneth Murray sack on third down, Joey Bosa sack on third down, and a Morgan Fox sack on third down, and they pick and show they were picking, they were choosing, and boom, they were able to execute, and that's how they scored their points. But man, it's just it's rough right now for this team, and especially because if you lose to Minnesota next week, then you're really going to have guys looking around being like, WTF, like what else do we have to do? And that's not what you want. You don't want that to happen because then questions start being asked about everything, not just Brandon Staley, but other people as well. Jorge Rodriguez is asking, where's the star of the show? I know who he's talking about.
What do you mean? I'm right here. You know?
I know who he's talking about, but
like
unfortunately,
Heartbreak Kid, you know, I'm like Shawn Michaels. I'm the showstopper here.
Right now, what time is it? It is 2:49. Right now, he is leaving school on his way to go coach, to be an offensive line coach. So unfortunately, he will be here Wednesday, though. Wednesday, when the podcast is released, he will be here. He has a lot to say. So you guys got to get ready to
check out What's Up Bolts.
And check out What's Up
on
Bolts
YouTube, and you'll see Dan and Dago fired up as ever.
Not the not the avocado.
Wow, this guy got brainwashed by Dan and Dago, man. You know, I'm gonna get back in the comments and say Dan Dago's terrible. Fernando, find a new co-host. You know, I'm the guy.
Oh, that'd be. I couldn't do. I couldn't find anybody better than Dan.
Quick, more comments because we actually have to get to other games. And I'll say this to let people get in the comments. Vent. We want you guys to vent. If you're a big Chargers fan, you're frustrated or you're being positive or negative, get in the comments. We'll show it. But we gotta get to the other games. But one thing, Fernando, when you mentioned the word practice, I started thinking about Brandon Staley's fire it up press conference where he's like, if you watch us in training camp, the Jaguars game is not lingering and it's not a storyline. It's just fitting for your narrative. What went through your mind when you saw fired up Staley about that?
Dan. So Dan and I kind of thought. I mean, we said it on What's Up, Bolts. Dan thought it was more of like a promo, like kind of thing. Like, but that's what I was telling Dan. I'm like, Jorge said, "Nah, we still love you, Gilberto." Yeah, we do. We love Gilberto. My thing is it kind of like one of these like you remember and I know it's a bad reference. You remember in The Blind Side when Michael Orr gets the guy comes over and kicks his helmet and the coach says, "This guy plays for my team," and he starts like getting all revved up. That's what that's kind of what I thought. Maybe that's what it is. Like he's trying to show his players, look, I still got your backs. Forget about what happened. Forget about the noise, which is what they've been trying to play for. Like that's what they've been saying since it happened. Like, hey, let's not think about the outside noise. The Jacksonville game's over, but you've lost since Mike Williams' injury. You've lost 4 games in a row since that Denver game. You lost in Denver. You lost in Jacksonville. You lost to the Dolphins, and then you lost now to the Tennessee Titans. So now the question is, well, moving forward, what like, and then obviously our good compa Jeff Miller, he asked what's the mood in the locker room. He got set off by that one too. But I mean, I just think maybe it's something like that, like where he's trying to fire up his guys by maybe doing it via the press and everything. But I'll leave the floor to you. But that's just my opinion. I feel like maybe, or maybe he's feeling the pressure. But I think it's more of he's trying to fire up the guys a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could tell. But we know this from covering him. Brandon is a fired up guy. He does get angry. He takes these losses personal. So I don't know what you think, but
that was gonna be my point. Like this is nothing new. Like maybe it was a little more fired up, a little more intense, and especially because now year 3, a little more pressure. But I remember in his first season after they lost to the Cowboys at home, I asked Brandon Staley, like, you know, what do you tell your team after a crushing loss like that? And he went on the speech. You know what, Gilberto? We're gonna keep fighting, we're gonna keep pushing, and he went off on a 10-minute thing, but like we made like a joke about it. He said my name, full name Gilberto, and like that's what he does. Like, he wants to inspire confidence in his guys, and you know, I know Staley is not like the biggest name in the headlines, but when you hear his press conferences and you hear him talk, he's all about these long, like, you know, speeches, inspiring confidence, and you know, I think that's when you know you maybe lost it when the guys aren't playing hard for you. They're playing in 1-score games. They're losing them. Eventually, it gets too much, and the weight, you know, becomes too much, and you fall apart. But we haven't got there yet. Like, say they have a stinker in Minnesota, then maybe they're losing a little bit of locker room patience with Brandon Staley. But right when you're close, not yet. 0-2 again. Calm down, take a breath, and we'll see if they'll figure it out.
You've lost by a combined 5 points, and I don't know if you saw this stat. They're the first team in NFL history to score more than 50 points in their first 2 games, have 0 turnovers,
That's wild.
and lose and be 0-2. Like, I don't know. They have well, then he needs to give another one of those speeches to the defense because they are terrible.
Yeah.
Jorge's bringing that fire first. He hypes up Dan and Dago, then he boos Gilberto, then now he's going after the defense.
I like the
Bring it,
honesty.
Jorge.
As long as you're respectful comments and you're being
No,
honest
and that's
and you're fired up.
and I think that's why we call them compas, because everybody's respectful, everybody's cool. But
we keep it straight
that's
here. We're honest. We keep it real. And
exactly. But that to me is crazy, though. That stat, like that stat, is nuts to me. That because they've taken care of the football, they really have. And I mean, you've had opportunities last week and this week. They have good teams. They haven't coughed up the football, and they're really taking care of it. Are you taking care of it in the expense of maybe not taking more chances down the field? That's my question. But I don't know. I don't know what you think.
I wasn't paying attention because somebody was distracting me in my text message. But you know what? I'll say this: it is kind of a
much love. Much love. Just want to say much love.
It is a hectic period right now. And, I get it. The defense needs to play better, but like you mentioned, that no turnovers in 2 games. That's an important stat. But you want to see more from your star quarterback. You want to see more from your OC, and it's only two games for the OC, Fernando. So I don't know, but I'm just excited for that game in Minnesota.
You're taking the Aaron Rodgers thing. I remember. I still remember. That's one of the things that'll always impact me. He turns to the reporter and goes, RELA. Relax.
Hey, but I'm excited for that wounded animal game in week 3 in Minnesota because you're backed against the corner. So we'll see who comes out on top.
Somebody said, I think it's good for Staley to get pissed, snap out of being stubborn, make the changes he needs to make. First on the list, stop with the cornerback rotation. There you go. It's funny. I'm not trying to say anything about, but I was at Dan's game the other day, and damn, is there a lot of coaches out in the seats. I'm like some guys like the offensive line needs to do better. I'm like, and I said, don't say anything about the offensive line because that's where we're gonna have problems. That's my little brother. You better not be saying anything about the offensive line. So, but yeah, there's so many people. It's incredible to me how. But I'm nothing against that comment, but it just made me laugh thinking about that moment.
It's fine to be critical. They like
let's
end it here for now because I get where Chargers fans are coming from. This is gonna be my point before I got
go ahead.
sidetracked. It's like every single year, this is nothing new. They lose 1-score games. I remember that one year where Anthony and Lynn, they were like 3-11 on 1-score games. Like they missed field goals, or they lose in Las Vegas, they lose in Jacksonville. So I get Chargers fans being super frustrated because when this is years and years and years of losing 1-score games, doesn't matter the quarterback, it doesn't matter the coach, doesn't matter the defense. It's the same old crap every single year. And for that, I understand your frustration. But it's 2 freaking games. Let's chill out.
Half of you sounds like Dan and Dago. The other half sounds.
It's like I want people to be honest and give fair assessments. But the full picture is it's freaking early, and it's a talented squad. When the Jets don't have Aaron Rodgers, that might be a spot in the playoffs. When the Chiefs are trying to figure it out, that's an opportunity right there. When the Bengals are on 2, that's an opportunity right there. We all just assume us experts that the division or the conference was loaded. No one has a chance, but as you know, every season is different.
One quick question Jorge was asking, in your guys' opinion, is coaching to blame? Honestly, let me finish it. The team has plenty of talent on all 3 sides of the football. There's teams that do more with less. Who's to blame, or is it too early to tell? I think Jorge is talking about my pick for the NFC South winners, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 2-0 with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, good call about you.
No, it's still
early. I think about you all the time, Fernando, but
it's still early. But I mean, I think it's a combination of everything, Gilbert. I mean, you can't just really point out one thing. I mean, yeah, we want to blame the coaching and everything, but I really think that it also rests on the players to step up and do their thing. I mean, like you said, Jorge, there's a lot of talent on this team. You have Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Tuli Pelodu. There you go. He stepped up these first 2 games. I'm very impressed with him. I think the Chargers found themselves a playmaker there. But you have so much talent on this team all around that stuff like this shouldn't be happening. So I don't know if it's an anomaly. I don't know if there's like a full moon or a blue moon or a red moon or whatever is going on, but it's just weird. But hey, they could snap out of it at any point. Go into Minnesota, win. Like somebody was asking me earlier, I jumped on a show or whatever, and they were like, oh, in a couple of weeks they play the Chiefs. I'm like, yeah, they'll probably win that game. Like they'll probably go into Kansas City, beat Kansas City. Then everybody's gonna be like, okay, who the hell are you? Like, what team are you? And everybody's gonna be very confused. All right, no, sorry, I said they'll beat Dallas and they'll beat Kansas City, and everybody's gonna be like, okay, who are you guys? Like, really? So, but yeah, I don't know. You can answer this too, Gilbert. Go ahead.
In your guys' opinion, is coaching the blame? You already read this one, right? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of both. That's why I really like your answer in the beginning of the show. And for you guys who are just joining right now, like you really broke down the poor execution and the red zone, the fourth quarter, the overtime, all that. It's a collective unit there. And again, like I keep repeating myself, I'm ready to move on to the second game. Stick around, Charger fans. Still leave comments if you're frustrated. We'll get to them. But we got to talk about the other games. And I just want to see, like, I'll just keep it simple. I just want to see if the defense still stinks next week. I just want to see Justin Herbert and Kellen Moore, let loose, light it up in Minnesota, and beat the Vikings, 34-31, and everybody could relax. Huh? I don't know.
That'd be interesting. All right, let's head over to the game that you were at. Gilbert, you were in San Francisco for the Rams versus
49ers
games. Yeah, 49ers game. You were in San Francisco. I saw a lot of red. You were in San Francisco, right?
I was like, wait, what? Yeah. Good one, yeah, good one. SoFi South, apparently. I mean,
that's what they call it, SoFi South. It was a pretty decent game. I mean, the Rams obviously lost 30-23. I know there's a lot of pissed off bettors out there because the 49ers kicked a field goal, or the Rams kicked a field goal at the end to kind of lose some people some money. So I know people are angry. But Gilbert, first of all, give me your assessment. What did you make of this game? I mean, it was a lot closer, I think, than when people thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised on being close, just because I saw the Rams beat the Seahawks, and that's what it is in the division games. Like you mentioned, the Chiefs could lose to the Chargers in a couple of weeks there. What for the 49ers, best team in the NFC. I am not buying the Cowboys. Okay, I'm buying the Cowboys. But sorry, I like to read to myself.
My bad.
You do better. I
should have waited.
But I feel like the 49ers were unsure about what they're going to see with the Rams, and I'll put it this way because I got to talk to Ufanga and Armstead in the 49ers locker room, and I'm like, hey, like, was it tough to get a beat on the Rams because they have so many new players? There's no Cooper Kupp, but they do have this young stud in Puka Nacua. He's like, actually, yeah, we couldn't get through their quick game. We couldn't figure out the routes they're gonna do. Like Tutu Atwell also is kind of a known. They're all stepping up, and when you have sorry, Charger fans, when you have a good coach like Sean McVay, and that usually gives you a chance. You scheme it up, and you get guys in right places, even though the talent is not the same like the 49ers. But when you're playing ball control, you gotta be perfect. And when also you need break. You need lucky breaks. When Brock Purdy was missing throws down the field, it created an opening. But after a while, if you're not, scoring or you're turning the ball over like Stafford did a couple of times, then the 49ers are going to wake up. Fred Warner got that sack, and eventually things got back to normal. So it was just kind of a game where it's competitive, divisional rivals, but at the end, who has a better roster? The 49ers, and they won. Was it 30-23?
Did Brock Purdy impress you?
A little bit, but I don't want to make excuses for the guy, but it was his first time playing Aaron Donald and playing Raheem Morris in the Rams defense. So maybe that was confusing for him to kind of figure out this new look. And he overthrew Brandon Ayuk. He overthrew Deebo Samuel. And he would have completed those, so Fernando, we wouldn't be talking about a close game here. Would have been 20-7 at halftime or whatever, 27, whatever the heck it was. But, credit to Kyle Shanahan, by the way. At the end of the first half, they got risky. It was like 3 seconds on the clock. They threw the ball to try to get a touchdown. Brock Purdy threw it away quickly. The next play, he ran it in, and boom, they're tied at halftime. So that's the thing about the 49ers, the luxury that Brock Purdy has. Even with a couple of misses like that, you got a good defense to rely on. You got Deebo and CMC, so that's kind of the good life for him.
Hey, I 100% agree with that. I'm going to be honest. I'm really impressed so far with what Sean McVay's done at the beginning. I mean, I know they're only 1-1, but Puka Nakua. I mean, we all know, you have told me about him. You're like, hey, this guy made DJ jump out of his seat. Daniel Jeremiah during NFL Network or during the draft in NFL Network, he was talking about him, and I was like, oh, okay. And you see it, and I mean, the guy has a lot of catches. Most catches, I think, in their first 2 games as a rookie. So,
and already by 3 games too, because Bolden has a record for 23 catches and
oh
Puka
wow,
has 25.
he had 15 yesterday. So, can you imagine when Cooper Kupp comes back, if when, and they kind of have that combination with Tutu out? Well, they could be a lot better than what people think. I'm just not ready to buy them as a
Wild card?
contender for the playoffs
Mhm.
because I don't think their defense is all that good. So, but I mean, you saw it yesterday. Brock Purdy, everybody runs the football. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy, all 3 of them had touchdowns. And that's the thing about Brock Purdy. You just don't lose the game. And that's the thing about him. He's not going to lose you the game. I don't know if he'll win you the game, but he's not going to mess it up. He's going to be stout. I was surprised that yesterday was the first time. Was it the first time in NFL history that a first overall pick faces
Yeah, the last
Mr.
pick in the
Irrelevant?
draft. Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy to see. But I was definitely I was really impressed by. I mean, I'm impressed by the 49ers all the time just because they have so many playmakers on the team. When you were in the locker room, did you hear a voice and turn around and go Joey? And it was actually Nick Bosa, or no?
I was actually standing like a creep, listening to Nick Bosa and Trent Williams discuss the game. It was pretty fascinating to hear those two
I'd love to sit with those
studs just going at it, talking about like, oh, what did you see? What did you see here? So that was pretty cool. And Fernando, like the 49ers are
How
so
big is
low.
Trent Williams?
Oh, he's a massive dude, man. He, he's like a bodyguard. Like I should stay away from these guys. But the cool thing or the funny thing, well, not cool for reporters. I wanted to go in the locker room early to get some one-on-ones, and they have so many freaking star players in the 49ers locker room that every single star player goes to the freaking podium. So I'm like, hey, Debo, can you talk? Oh, I'm going to the podium. Hey, Fred Warner, like I'm going to the podium. Hey, George Kittle. I was like, oh man, who's not going to the podium on this team? But luckily they had some other players who were willing to talk to me. So that's a good life over there in San Francisco, man, because everybody's happy. They're 2-0, and everybody's making money. Well, besides Brock Purdy, maybe one day. But that's the beauty about playing on a rookie contract for a team so loaded. And I won't even knock them for being close with the Rams. Divisional games, man. They're gonna
Yeah.
be close. And but yeah, they handle business.
Did you see our compa Cam?
I did. Yeah, I saw him walking by, and he was asking for directions. Even though I've been there many times, I'm like, I don't even know where the 49ers locker room is, man. I'm learning myself.
Was it different from the away for the Chargers too?
Yeah, so you know how okay, I'm trying. Okay, so
You
it
come
was a
out of the
Rams.
elevator.
Yeah, so it's a Rams home game. Rams locker room is to the right, so
Oh,
visiting will be to the left. So Chargers home game will be to the left, and visiting will be to the right. So I had to remember that reverse order.
impressive. Very impressive. You think the 49ers are legit? You see it that way?
Yeah, I really like the Cowboys, but I still think the 49ers are number one, but I shouldn't give anything away because we have on our Wednesday show the power poll from the Compas.
There you go.
Ready?
Yeah, let's go to the next one. The next one, the Cincinnati Bengals start off 0-2 as the Baltimore Ravens beat them. Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. That was 27-24. It seemed like Joe Burrow kind of turned it on in the second half a little bit, kind of woke up, but they're still, I mean, he looks a little timid. I know I don't want to say he re-aggravated his injury, but they said that he was kind of feeling it at the end of the
Yeah,
game.
I think that's
So
what I think they said it was. He
oh, it was a
injured the calf.
re-aggravation.
Yeah,
I thought he came back a little bit too soon. He's looked timid these first 2 weeks. So now go take the time that you need. Hopefully these guys can survive, but 0-2 is already a hole. Odell Beckham Jr. also sustained an injury,
yeah,
but
that's tough.
yeah. But Lamar, I mean, 24-33, 237, 2 touchdowns. Nelson Aguilar was the heavy hitter, 5 catches, 63 yards, a touchdown. I swear, I turned to Dan and I'm like, Nelson Aguilar's on this team. Like the last time I remember, he was on the Patriots.
That's the same thing I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I was completely surprised. So is this more about the Baltimore Ravens being 2-0 or more about the Bengals being 0-2, Gilbert?
You know what? I want to give the Ravens some credit. I'm gonna give myself some credit, and then I'm gonna give myself some negativity. I picked the Ravens to make the playoffs, but you know who I picked for the division? The Bengals and the Super Bowl, by the way. So that's not looking good with the Bengals. But I had good feelings
Hey,
about
I
the
picked the
Ravens.
Jets.
Yeah, you picked the Jets. I'm sorry, but you get a little excuse there because no Aaron
Well,
Rodgers.
hey, the Tom Brady deal isn't finalized yet for him to be a minority owner of the Raiders. He could still come. I'm telling you, he could still come back and be like, you know what? I'll quarterback the Jets,
Yeah.
win a Super Bowl, and then right off into the
What show this
sunset.
comment? I don't know. We got this one just because
No,
Zach.
crazy thing you tell me is that if okay, so this says crazy thing is if you told me that Aaron Rodgers would be out, Zach Wilson would beat the Bills, Burrow 0-2 and injured, Mahomes offense struggling, and us I'm sure they mean the Chargers
Yeah.
putting up 29.5 points a game with no turnovers, I'd be betting Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean that's the way this goes. I mean, it's just the NFL. That's what I've been trying to tell everybody. The last few years, the NFL has been wild. It's hard to predict. You really can't. You really don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, it's wild to think that the Bengals are 0-2, especially because they have so much talent. You have probably the best trio of receivers in the NFL, and you just can't get it clicking. Jamar Chase yesterday was
wasn't good.
5 catches for 31 yards. Do you have him on fantasy? You sound like you have him on
I
fantasy.
don't, but I saw a lot of people complain about it for fantasy purposes. Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go. But go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, I know last week they played the Texans, the Ravens, that is, and I saw glimpses of Lamar Jackson being patient with Tom Munkin's aerial attack, and I think I brought this up to you, friend. I'm like, at one point, do they not like this feeling of being more pass heavy and revert to their old ways of running the football? And they haven't done that, and I kind of like that because that's the way you could win in today's game. And I always like Lamar Jackson. I think he's underrated as a passer, and I yesterday was a perfect blueprint. They built the lead with the passing attack. Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar, Lamar Jackson was 72% in completion rate for his passes, and they got up to 10 points. And that I have concerns about the defense depth wise. They have like maybe 3 guys who are talented. Roquan Smith, your former guy Kyle Hamilton, and like kind of like it's thin. But they did their job for 3 quarters. And when they built that lead, Fernando, you know what they did? Went back to the old school way, smash mouth football, running the football 6 consecutive times to close the game. So they do that, throw the ball early, build a lead, and then run the football at the end. They're the best team doing that. It might be something right there for a formula to be a legit Super Bowl contender. I'm not going there just yet, but I like what I've seen for 2 games.
Well, I mean, the thing is too that you're not just saying, "Hey, Lamar, go win us a game." Like you have receivers now. The J.K. Dobbins one just hurts a little bit because J.K. Dobbins he's a good back and he's done a lot of good work, but it's funny because I was watching the game with Dan and Dago, and they're like, "Oh, Lamar Jackson runs it in." And he's like, "There's Walter Payton, Fernando." He's like, "There he goes." And
that ain't bad, okay?
but yeah, you're right. Lamar has kind of settled down a little bit. The one thing I do want to see is I do want to see him maybe like when that crunch situation happens where they're facing a good defense and all that. But no, there's no complaints I have about Lamar the way he started 2-0. There's been questions about him because the last 2 years his season has ended due to injury. So I think so far he's answered them. Can he stay healthy the rest of the season? We'll see. I know he takes a lot of hits, man. That's the one thing I don't like is that he takes a lot of hits. But if he can sustain this moving forward, like you said, I don't see why they can't win this division. I mean, if you look at it, the Browns and the Steelers playing a little bit. But I mean, I don't see the Steelers as a contender. I know everybody wanted to pick them at the beginning. I think last week, I don't think last week was an anomaly. I think that's really because Deontay Johnson just went on the IR. I think they're going to struggle without him. Cleveland, I'm still not sold on. I know they have a good team, but I'm still not sold on them 100%. I think this is going to be Baltimore's division to lose. I still don't count out Cincinnati, though. I don't count them out. I know they're going to be there at the end. But for right now, Baltimore needs to take advantage. They need to try and gain this lead. But as of right now, it looks good for them as being at top of the NFC North.
All right. Ready? Fourth down. Critical 4th down here.
4th and Staley.
No.
Chiefs.
That was so 2020 or the 21.
I know.
2021.
Yeah. The Chiefs and the Jaguars. I thought this game was going to be a lot different, Gilbert. I was very surprised, but I agreed with something that you wrote yesterday. the Chiefs defense may be for real. They are clamping down. I know that they struggled a little bit with Detroit, but that's just because they were gassed at one point. I think they didn't have Chris Jones. Now they're gonna have Chris Jones. The defense looks formidable. They're rushing the passer. Their corners or safeties are doing well. I thought the Jaguars really missed a big opportunity. I think they were in the red zone 6 times, and they couldn't come away with any points. Like, that's not good. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, Jags may make the AFC Championship. As of right now, the Jags team that I saw yesterday, I'm not too sure about them because their defense was okay, but their offense was just abysmal. Like, let me read some of these stats. Trevor Lawrence, 22 of 41, 216. ETN, 12 carries, 40 yards. Kirk was the only bright spot. He had 11 catches for 110 yards. Dang, okay, so without Kirk, Trevor Lawrence, that was 11 receptions. So Trevor Lawrence would have been 11 of 30, 116 yards. Oh, that's ugly. So yeah, I don't know what you think, but I know this is more about the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs offense struggled, but man, their defense is here and they played hard.
Yeah, I wonder if Chris Jones would consider holding out again because his presence makes a big difference with or without.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the Lions game, they needed him, and then when he
Yeah.
was playing with the Jaguars, man, that guy was a monster. And I know he plays in the middle, so it's not as easy to tell like the edge rushers, but when he's playing, you could tell. And I'm sure Dan and Diego will like that. Shout out to the Hogs. I was gonna make a noise, but it was gonna be a dog noise. That's not a hog.
Hey, Juwan Taylor got benched.
Yeah, that was wild. When I saw that, I'm like, is that real? Am I seeing like some?
He had like 5
there?
or 6, and there were some that they didn't call because I was watching that game as I was watching the Charger game, and Dan got up and I have a TV right here and I have another one right here. He's like, his head is behind the center's ass. His head is behind the center's ass. Dude, he's like, he might as well should stick it up there too. And I just started laughing. I'm like, oh my god.
I wonder how many times the Jaguars were like before the game, hey, we know that MF over there. He always does that. You better check out. You saw
he
it
did it for
week.
us. We didn't care, but now he's doing it against us. You better get him. Yeah, exactly.
And so that was wild that he actually got benched for that. So and they spent money on him. We'll see what they do.
5 years, 80, I think.
Yeah, it was a good chunk of change there. So maybe Orlando Brown Jr. is laughing somewhere, but they're on 2 in the Bengals. But I guess I'm a little kind of concerned about the offense because maybe the wide receiver thing is a bigger problem than I thought. I thought once the Kelsey comes back, they'll be fine. But maybe because Kelsey had this first game back, they're a little rusty there and getting everybody else involved. We'll see about that. But the defense is legit and the rich get richer there. So if they get this, like every year, it feels like they've been a consistent defense, but maybe this year feels like a legit top defense. We'll see because when you do that to Trevor Lawrence, maybe it was a one bad game. But when you're supposed to be a top quarterback in the league, and Trevor Lawrence, he hasn't got paid yet, but he plays like he's going to be a baller. Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk. Every time you say Kirk Fernando, I keep thinking about the one-eyed cat Kirk. We'll see how he does in the standings for Tuesday or Wednesday. But I wanted to see more from the Jaguars. I thought it was going to be a shootout. I'm not surprised about the Chiefs winning. I'm just surprised about the performance, both sides offensively. It was a clunky game. I found myself watching more of the Colts game because I like to watch Anthony Richardson. He is must-watch TV.
And he went out with that injury.
Yeah, and then that sucked. So I was forced to watch the
Minshew Mania.
Yeah, and yeah, he did pretty well too. But I don't know. Again, we can end the show this way. Like Chargers fans, if the Chiefs are still in their funky phase, then maybe it's not all bad right now.
I mean, let's see. Chiefs schedule. Bears come there next week. The Bears are struggling. The week after that, Sunday Night Football, October 1st, Chiefs at Jets. So I don't know if
2 wins right there.
I don't know if the Manhattan Milf Hunter will be able to do anything against them. Then the week after that, the Chiefs go to Minnesota to face the Vikings. That'll be a tough game. I want to see their defense is going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to stop Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Then the Broncos play the Chiefs in Kansas City. Then the Chargers go to the Chiefs on October 22nd, Melissa's birthday. But yeah, I mean, you look back at it. Kadarius Toney was talking a lot yesterday. I was kind of like, okay, this dude must have his stats must be like crazy. 5 catches for 35 yards. I'm like, dude, Like he was jawing a lot, and then he started jawing on social media when the Cowboys blew out the Giants. I'm like,
Yeah,
dude, this
he
ain't
probably had
working.
a few tweets ready to go for the Cardinals
Oh yeah,
game, and then the
oh
Giants came back. Like, oh, let me delete them.
yeah. I completely, I could see that dude doing that. But then you look at, by the way, Gilbert, people were talking crap about your boy when I said as soon as Joe Burrow signs his contract, who's next?
Oh yeah, you got it right. Yeah,
Mahomes.
that's my homies.
People were like, "Oh, this, that, blah, 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 blah." Mahomes signed a new contract extension, so there you go. That now the quarterback market is reset. Now it starts over, and now new deals will happen. But the quarterback market was reset. He was about to be the ninth quarterback, the ninth best quarterback being paid, so they had to redo it to get him paid. I'm sure Brittany Mahomes is very excited about that. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, going back
more
to
money
him,
up front, so you have to wait until 2028 or 29.
it's a
It's
lot of
coming
money.
sooner.
Sky Moore, 3 catches, 70 yards, 1 touchdown, 54-yard was his long. Watson, 3 catches, 3 catches, 62. Travis Kelce, 4 for 26 and a touchdown. That's what I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be more spread the football around. Oh, here we go. Quick comment. They have to protect AR, especially as he is a way better passer than expected. I completely agree with that. They need to protect Anthony Richardson a lot better. But the thing is, too, he takes off. I mean, he's impressive
Yeah,
as a runner. He
that's what
takes
makes him
off and he
special
throws
and
those
tough to
touchdowns.
defend. The running aspect, though, it's a tough
Yeah.
balance.
No, yeah, and you can't take it. It's like Lamar Jackson. You can't take away that running aspect. Like you kind of need that to help. But going back to the Mahomes, I think that's what it's going to be, Gilbert. I think moving forward, and that's what I told you that impressed me about Mahomes last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. What was it? Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, boom, 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 move up the field. Here, at times you would pass it to other guys, but now it's I'm going to spread the football around. I'm going to try and get everybody. That's how we're going to win football games. That's how the way I see them winning football games. But I wouldn't be surprised if halfway through, right before the trade deadline, they trade for a receiver. Won't be Mike Evans, though, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-0. And Baker Mayfield is good. Did you see his stats on third down?
No, what was it?
Okay, let me get them for you. But you keep on.
He has no turnovers, and so that's been very, very impressive. And by the way, Fernando, I actually fantasy football conversation nobody cares about, but in one of my leagues, I saw Mike Evans going to like the 12th round. Nobody wanted the guy because he's older, playing with Baker Mayfield, and Mike Evans is balling out. But so shout out to you. We'll see how the Saints do tonight against the Panthers for Monday Night Football. We'll get there in a bit, but yeah, do you have the stats? Baker Mayfield, no interception. I'm running out of Baker talk.
Yesterday on third down, he was 12 for 13, 141 yards, a touchdown, and 6 conversions.
That's pretty good, as people say when it comes to third down.
The Bucks went 0 for 41 on third and 11 plus last season, and had two conversions yesterday. Wow! So both of them were throws of Mike Evans. But I mean, honestly, he's been very impressive. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have, but yeah, that's how I think that this Chiefs thing is going to operate, Gilbert. It's going to be let's spread the football around. Let's win with our defense. Let's try and get the running game going. Pacheco, 12 carries, 70 yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, by the way, 1 carry, 0 yards. My God, 2 catches for 17. Huh?
You still playing with the Chiefs?
Yeah.
I lost
track. Oh wow, Mike Evans, future Chief.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. We'll see about that, but that's how I think they're going to win. I think they're going to spread the football around. They're going to win with their defense. They obviously have one of the best special teams coaches in the league, so they're a complete team, and that's the thing. Maybe before they were more top heavy. Now they've gotten a little bit more complete. The only thing that worries me is just the receivers, but I mean they should be okay.
Yeah, we'll see. As we mentioned, it's going to be a long season. Some things never change, but the Chiefs do look a little sluggish to start the season.
Yeah, I completely agree. We appreciate you guys so much for checking out another Overreaction Lunes with the Compas. Obviously, there's a lot more we can talk about, but that is why the pod comes out on Wednesday. We're going to talk everything in the NFL. We will get Jorge for you, just for you. We will have Dan and Dago on there because I know you missed them. We'll also have Vic, the producer. We'll talk about everything that we saw over the weekend in the NFL. Obviously, we'll break down also the Monday Night Football games because there is a lot. There's 2 games, Gilbert. It clashes with Monday Night Raw, but the good thing is I have 2 TVs, and with those 2 TVs, that means that I can watch different stuff all over. But yeah, we're in our prime time. By the way, his sunglass company in San Diego. By the way, Saturday your boy was there. By the way, I got on the list to get some of his shades because
Oh, you
I'm all
did?
about. Oh yeah, I
I
got
was
on that
thinking
list.
about it too, actually.
Huh?
I was thinking about getting some too.
Yeah, no, yeah. If you want, I mean, I can pick some up for you
Okay,
when the
okay.
lady.
Yeah, you know Dion pretty close, so
Yeah. Oh well, yeah.
yeah. You know
But
what's funny? I thought about when you talked about Dan and Dago. He wears shades also for his promos. So I put them on, then I'm like, oh wait, it's also perfect for
oh, I thought you
Dion.
did because of prime time. So I was like,
That
oh,
too, but it's
I'll,
perfect. Yeah.
I'll put them on too because of prime time. But obviously, we appreciate that. Right now, keep up the amazing work. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And with that, obviously, thank you guys again for joining us. We had a really good group today. I mean, we're gonna keep on doing this every single Monday. Overreaction Lunes with the Compas. We'll break down our 4 downs, the 4 games that we saw over the weekend. But again, we appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget Wednesday, the new pod drops. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you guys have any questions, you guys can drop them in the comments below, or you guys can put them anywhere or any other video. We will see them. We'll put them on the show and we'll try and answer them. But we appreciate you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day. And Monday Night Football starts in about an hour. So
Yeah.
make sure
2
you
games.
guys check that out. 2 games, 2 for 1. So we appreciate you guys so much. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell your compas what your compas on the beat are doing. Thank you guys.